Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Hello students, it's 15 August, the day of celebration. Freedom is the key to development, and may you live an independent and progressive life forever. So I wish a very happy Independence Day. So here in this presentation I'm going to discuss about the mixed methods, and it's part 3, where I will discuss the different types of or different designs of mixed methods. So let's get started. So the first one I had already discussed yesterday, that was explanatory sequential design. So here we will discuss the exploratory sequential design. So definition: exploratory sequential design or method is an approach to combining qualitative and quantitative data collection and analysis in a sequence of phases. So as you know, mixed method research involves not only a qualitative and quantitative component in the same study, but it means to mix them or connect them or combine them in a way that two are in a conversation with each other. So it's exploratory sequential design where priority is given to the qualitative aspect or qualitative phase and moves sequentially to the quantitative phase or quantitative aspect. So the meaning of this definition is given in this slide. In the first phase, the researcher collects and analyzes the qualitative data, the results of which direct the quantitative phase. So in exploratory sequential design, the first phase is the qualitative phase and the second phase is the quantitative phase. So in the qualitative phase, the researcher has to collect or gather the qualitative data, then he has to analyze the data and has to come to the concluding part, or he has to give the results of that part. So using those results, the researcher can find the direction to build up his quantitative phase. Next, the qualitative analysis provides the base for developing specific research questions for the quantitative phase. As I already told, that the qualitative analysis provides the foundation and base and the basic principles to formulate his research questions and to formulate the quantitative aspect of his research. Then next, there are certain circumstances or there are certain conditions when the researcher can use the exploratory sequential design. So number 1, to explore a phenomenon and to expand on qualitative findings. So in this method, in the first phase, that is the qualitative phase, data are collected from a sample, from a population, to explore or to know a phenomenon. So in it, the researcher expands on or to gives details about the phenomenon qualitatively. So in this type of design, the researcher has to give importance on the qualitative findings, then he has to expand it, and from that qualitative findings the researcher can get the directions to build the qualitative aspect. Then next, to generalize qualitative findings to different sample in order to determine the distribution of a phenomenon within a chosen population. If the researcher wants to explore qualitative aspect of a research problem, then he can immerse himself into it. He can immerse himself into this exploratory sequential design. Here the researcher finds the causes of that particular phenomenon by targeting the samples of the population. Then thirdly, to develop and test a new instrument. If the researcher wants to develop a new way, a new solution to his research problem, a new instrument to change the society, to change the physics of the problem, then he can only use the exploratory sequential design. Then there are certain advantages. So number one, easy to implement. It's very easy to implement because even though two phases are used, but both phases are separate to each other and both phases are simple. Then straightforward to design, implement and report. It's a very straightforward, easy and simple, using which every researcher can have an understanding of the design, the understanding of the implementation, and have an intensive understanding on report of the whole phenomena. Then thirdly, more acceptable. It's more acceptable because the researcher uses two methods. So the results of using the two methods will be acceptable by all. Then the disadvantages. Two phases require lengthy time to implement. As you all know that two phases are used in this type of methods. So it needs more time to implement and conclude a research when the mixed method is used than the single method research. Secondly, difficult to specify quantitative procedure. The whole research, when the researcher is using the exploratory sequential design, so the whole research is based on the qualitative data. Using those qualitative data, the researcher builds his quantitative aspect. So sometimes it is criticized on the basis that it specifically gives importance on the qualitative aspect of the research. So that is why they criticized it, or some criticize it, that it will be difficult to specify some quantitative procedure to conclude the research in a quantitative way. Then thirdly, deciding the qualitative findings to use for quantitative phase. This is also a criticism of this exploratory sequential design, because the whole importance is given on the qualitative aspect and the qualitative data. So the whole research is based on the qualitative facts or qualitative data. So these are the sources. Thank you.